Hello again, everyone. Cliff Williams and my friend Chandra. This is not gospel. It's probably not in your notes, but at some point during the podcast, during today, for this week, we have to even just say something or speak into the Ukraine war thing, I think, because it's like the thing that everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
It's on everybody's mind. So, I don't know. Since you got here, we didn't talk about it at all. So I don't know how much you followed it or haven't or whatever.
Well, I think everybody knows basically what's going down in Ukraine, but I'm really bad about political history. It's in one ear and out the other. I listened to a whole thing on it the other day and I couldn't tell you anything about why what's going down is going down and the history of how long the Ukraine hasn't been a part of Russia and just all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm a very informative person about that.
Well, for anyone, okay, so we can do a little overview real quick. So for anybody who doesn't know, supposedly what Russia has said is that, Putin has said that he has no interest in occupying Ukraine. That's not their goal. That they literally just want to get out what they have called, Zelensky. They're calling Zelensky.
They're not wanting to occupy Russia?
No.
What's he doing?
Okay, so
I thought he was overthrowing it to make it part of Russia.
No,
again.
according to Putin, he has said from the start in all the big UN gatherings or EU, whatever they are, he has no interest in occupying Ukraine. His goal is to simply eradicate the Zelensky and what he has called a neo-Nazi government. He's been calling their governmental system, what they have in there, a neo-Nazi government that is a threat to Russia, and he wants it removed. He's actually, the language he uses, he said that we want to decapitate that government. He basically referring to it as sort of if they call it neo-Nazi, it's sort of a terroristic regime is what he's basically equating it to.
Well, I had heard people who were people who criticize all conservatives as being part of QAnon, saying, oh, no, all these QAnon conservatives are for Putin and stuff like that, because they're saying that Putin's doing a good thing because the Ukraine was ran by a mob, basically. And I was like, I don't see Putin being the good guy in this scenario, but I really don't know enough to know.
So here's the deal. In my opinion, there's not a clear-cut good guy, bad guy. Because in the most recent years, anytime you hear the word misinformation, how many times has that been a lie? When they said it's misinformation, Joe Rogan's giving out misinformation about blah, blah, blah. And then you watch the podcast and it's literally just, he has experts on there sharing their informed and educated opinions on things and they're calling it misinformation. Like, they've used that phrase so long, they've coined that phrase to where it means nothing. If you hear the phrase misinformation, you're like, yeah, well, they're just saying it again. So when the ambassador from Russia was in the big UN meeting, or it's EU or UN, whichever it is, and he was sharing the reason that they were in the Ukraine, that they had no interest in occupying Ukraine. They just wanted this, what they call totalitarian neo-Nazi regime out and gone. The people that responded immediately responded with, we're not even going to respond. We're not even going to listen to or acknowledge that insidious misinformation that you just pronounced. It's all wrong. And they use that misinformation again. And that immediately triggered me, like, why is everyone, all the media outlets and all this, unilaterally calling Putin this evil, villainous guy who's big, bad, evil Russia who's trying to wipe out Ukraine?
Yeah.
So that kind of triggered me, and I was like, now I don't know what to trust. And now George Soros has come out backing and saying Ukraine has fought so long against Russia and blah, blah, blah. We need to stand with those people in this new democracy and fight against Russia and all this. And anything that George Soros is
I do immediately get suspicious.
Is like, come on, bro. That, like, these are the wrong people to have in your corner. So the whole connection, the QAnon thing is like, there's this deep state connection. What the QAnon conspiracy is that they believe that there's a lot of connection with the U.S. and the Ukraine. Ukraine had their revolution for independence in 2014. During Obama's administration, they were supposedly trying to weed out a lot of corruption in the Ukraine. So there's a special prosecutor in Ukraine, and there's this whole clip where Joe Biden as vice president, flies into Ukraine, meets with their people, and says, "Hey, this special prosecutor has to be removed. You told us he was going to be removed. If he's not removed, we're not going to give you." It was either 6 million or 6 billion. I'm not exactly sure which one. Obviously, that's a huge difference, but the number was 6 and a bunch of zeros. This many dollars worth of relief. He's like, "We're not going to give you the money." He's like, "Matter of fact, I'm leaving here in like 5 hours or whatever it is.
I vaguely remember.
If I'm not on the plane, by the time I get on the plane, if he's not fired, you're not getting this check." Is what, and Joe Biden, it's like he's bragging about it, that he did this. And he says, sure enough, the prosecutor was fired. So there's this potential for corruption and abuse of power that people are seeing when they see.
Is the Ukraine where Joe Biden's son was on that board of
Hunter
directors?
Biden got his job with Burisma, which Burisma is Ukraine. So the conspiracy theory is that Ukraine wanted its independence, and they basically sold themselves to get the independence. They sold themselves to U.S. and various allied forces, and that they're essentially kind of a money laundering country for dirty money for the U.S. and these other big people. And the issue is,
I need to know.
They don't. The conspiracy theory is that Putin, if he gets his hands on those, Zelensky and his people, that he's going to have all the power he needs to leverage against us and other people who supposedly have dirty money in there.
I'm following you. I'm suspicious of the things you're suspicious of. I just want to clarify for everybody. Are you a QAnon?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not a QAnon.
For
everyone who's watching here, this is not some crazy conspiracy theorist guy. I am a Christian. I am a conservative. I don't listen to anything QAnon. I never have. I have nothing against them. I'm just not a QAnon conspiracy theory person. That would not be me. I honestly don't know.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and well, it's good to clarify. Neither one of us here are QAnon conspirators, or however you want to call it.
I do like to know what they think and what they're saying. So every now and then I will tap into something to be like, what are the crazy people saying? Well, I shouldn't say crazy
that's
people.
why I watch Trevor Noah. I'm just...
I didn't mean to say crazy people. I do apologize if you are a normal
it's
QAnon person.
Rachel Maddow. If you really want to know what they're thinking, watch Rachel Maddow. I watch CNN to see what the crazy people are thinking.
But about the Ukraine thing, I have been seeing like on TikTok and stuff. Have you heard about like the ghost of Kiev? Am I saying it right? Kiev.
We apologize if we don't say any of these names correctly. We are not deliberately racist. We just are having trouble pronouncing them. But I think it is Kiev.
But have you heard about like the ghost of Kiev? And he's like a fighter jet guy who's taken down, and they don't know who he is, and he's taken down all kinds of Russian planes.
Well, okay, so here's the deal. We're talking about good guy, bad guy. No clear good guy or bad guy. I've seen footage, and the issue is you have boomers and you have these older people that say relax. Have you seen how they're talking about the Generation X and Gen Zers, and they're like, relax when you see all this footage? Like, the reason why you're panicking right now is because with the presence of social media and information, like, you're getting all of this footage shoved in your face all the time. This same stuff was happening in our lives and all these other wars. This type of stuff was happening and has been happening when these battles are fought. In any of these situations, you got good eggs and bad eggs. You got some soldiers that are going to go out of their way to be malicious. And then you got some soldiers that are going to go out of their way to be compassionate within the confines of their orders. And the examples are like this. I don't know if you've seen the footage or not, where the Russian tank is driving down the street and this civilian car is going this way, and the tank like floors it and goes over him and just runs over the car. Completely just runs over the car. There's an old lady in the car. It's just a civilian. She survives. People get in there and basically tear open the car because it's smushed and get her out, and she's alive. But that kind of footage is I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying it's used as propaganda for whatever message you want. The same thing with Snake Island. You have moments like that where obviously that paints the Russians as these evil people, right? Running over a civilian car. Then Snake Island, there's 13 Ukrainian soldiers that were guarding Snake Island, and a Russian warship comes up and says, I'm a Russian warship. They announce themselves. They say there's no need for loss of life. Surrender, drop your arms, come out, and you won't be harmed. Repeatedly, they say this, and they say, please acknowledge. And the 13 Ukrainian soldiers respond with, hey, Russian warship, go F yourself.
Yeah.
And they bomb them. They bomb the snot out of them. They all die. And they're given all these kind of medals and all this kind of stuff and of honor and all this. I'm not saying they shouldn't have medals of honor. They're defending their country. But what the Russian warship did doesn't seem like some evil villainous thing that they want to just destroy people. Like they're like, hey, this is war, but there's no need for you to die. You're going to get bombed. Come on out. And they don't. So they did their job. So in one scene, you got this image of this tank seeking out and running over these civilians, or the civilian vehicle. And the other image, you got a warship that's like, there's no need for you to die. This is war. Come on out. Whatever. And they don't. So the other thing is, Putin, if he really wanted to occupy, they're saying that he's lying. They're saying he's lying the whole time. He just wants to reestablish Ukraine as Russia and take it back over.
Well, didn't he say that in a speech, though, like, I think 4 years ago?
If it was years and years ago, regardless, what he's been saying now is he have no interest in occupying it. And what he's doing in his tactics actually sticks with that. Because if he wanted to occupy Ukraine, would you want to reestablish and pull a big pile of rubble back into your country? No. You'd want to keep their infrastructure. You wouldn't want to set fire to their natural gas pipelines, which they did. They blew up a natural gas pipeline in Ukraine because it's war. They're trying to get rid of that regime. They're blowing up and bombing all of the military structures. If you were trying to just take Ukraine back into USSR or whatever, or Russia, you'd want to keep that infrastructure. You want to keep as much as possible. You wouldn't want to just bomb it to bits. So it sticks true with what he's saying. Like, it looks like, it very much looks like he would want to get whatever government regime is in there now, get them out, and then say peace and just leave. Or establish a Russia-friendly governmental regime and then leave. Because he's not going to stick around to rebuild this destroyed country. Why would he?
I don't know. I don't know enough to say one way or the other, but it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just doing a good thing.
No. No. Okay, so he labels them as a neo-Nazi regime. Well, here's some stuff to think about. Their revolution was in 2014 in the Ukraine. 2015, Zelensky creates and I hope I'm saying that, it's either B or V, I'm not sure if it's a B or V type thing, but hopefully I'm saying it correctly. He starts a television production company, and they release a show called Servant of the People, where Zelensky stars as the president of the Ukraine.
Yeah.
For 5 years, this show runs. Then they create a political party. All of the producers of his television broadcast company wind up becoming like the heads of the political party. The political party is called Servant of the People, basically the same name of that. And he gets elected by the people with 73% popular vote. Mm-hmm. Here's the other thing. He arrested all of the opposition, put them in jail. The party that got second and didn't win, arrested him, put him in jail. That's the same stuff they've accused Putin of. And we can't prove it, confirm or deny.
I was going to say, it sounds like two corrupt things just going at each other.
Right. It sounds like two. That's why I'm saying there's no good guy versus bad guy thing here. You've got
a bunch of regular people serving under
different
two corrupt
interests.
masters.
Yeah, different special interests. And the issue that I have is the fact that everybody in the UN, the US and all this is so ready to jump up in arms to defend Ukraine. And they've been notoriously one of the most corrupt governmental systems. Like they're on all the, whatever the chart is, whatever the billboard is for the most corrupt governments, Ukraine and probably US is in there somewhere, but the Ukraine's way up there. It's like, you can't tell me that there's not something under the scenes as to why everybody's jumping up in arms for them, especially when there is some credibility to what he's saying that they pose a threat. Russia only has it's either 100,000 or 150,000 soldiers. Ukraine has 250,000 soldiers. They have more soldiers. Russia has way more battlements, way more military facilities, way more warships. They have way more sophisticated war technology, which is why they're destroying them. Ballistic missiles and all that stuff. But Ukraine has built a pretty large army for their size. They're only the size of Texas. And they have 250,000 soldiers, which is a pretty big deal. There needs to be some kind of closure, some kind of cathartic moment about the thoughts on the Ukraine thing. And in my opinion, I don't want to see innocent civilians, innocent people die. I think that's terrible. So I've seen footage now of them kind of attacking villages and stuff like that. Again, all of that does facilitate Putin's narrative that he doesn't want to occupy it because they're turning it to rubble. They're really doing a number on it. And they're tearing up this infrastructure and they're ruining the military capacity and facilities. But I don't want to see innocent civilians killed. I don't want to see innocent humans killed.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. That means I also don't want us to send 20,000 U.S. soldiers over there in a war that we shouldn't be in. And then 5 years from now, come back and be like, man, we never should have done that. We sent 50,000 or 20,000 people over there over the course of a decade, and we've lost half of them or something. Like, again, that's just a bunch of people following orders, being told that they're on the right side of the conflict, and they're going in there and sacrificing themselves. I don't agree with that either. And especially on the tail end of what happened in Afghanistan. I feel like the American people are tired of policing the world and getting involved where we may not belong. And I do think there are a lot of hidden interests and possibly like dirty money and political interests motivating this.
Yeah.
I mean,
and we'll never know the truth, and I
Yeah.
hate that. I hate it.
There's a most likely that we'll never know the truth about it. So, in my opinion, I feel like it's hard to say, and it's hard to say this, but I really feel like I wonder why if we're going to put boots in the ground, why don't we say, well, hey, let's put Putin's money, let's make him put his money where his mouth is, and take the regime down and set up a new regime that we know is democratic or whatever, and see what happens. I don't know. Why don't we try to find some other solution that doesn't involve decimating a country and sending 10,000 U.S. soldiers over there? I don't understand why that's not the thing. Why you're not trying to find a solution.
Now, I believe that some people who were in, sorry to bring up QAnon all the time, but some people that were in QAnon, they were very pro-Trump, and they thought Trump was like just 20 steps ahead of everybody and all this.
Shining knight that was gonna
Yes, but
drain the swamp.
And when he didn't get reelected, some of those same people started deciding, oh, he's actually the Antichrist. And that all this was just a ploy and stuff like that. And that when he does get reelected again, because they think he will be, he's actually going to be he's the one going to be ushering in the New World Order and stuff. And that this is all orchestrated by him.
Did you see the Ukrainian... I think she's a the Ukrainian congresswoman who said that.
No,
it was viral. She's given an automatic weapon, and she's like, I'm here to fight for my country. She's like, we have to fight for this democracy, and we have to fight for this new world order.
Oh,
she flat out says it, and it just goes like nobody cares. It's like she just
but
Freudian
does that
slipped or
mean
whatever.
something to them different than what it would mean to us here in the Bible Belt, where New World Order is a very bad thing?
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Here's the deal: a new world order is such an Orwellian thing, like 1984. Yeah. You say that to anybody that's even high school level and above, they have
in the
heard,
Ukraine though,
and that they have to know what a new world order means. Because why not new world order? Why not be new Ukrainian order? New Ukrainian government.
Well, you can watch clips
Ukrainian
on YouTube
government.
where they have comprised all the world leaders and all the media people in Australia and stuff talking about the New World Order. So, I mean,
yeah,
I keep thinking it has to mean something different to them, or they're all in on a secret that we Americans don't know
New World
about.
Order means a new, to everybody, it means an established, organized world type of government, even if it has to. And the UN is kind of, sort of that. It's the gathering of all these other governments together to essentially cooperate. But you can't be thinking, I don't know for sure. I'm just saying that to me it seems way too crazy to think that they don't know what New World Order means when they say it. It seems too obvious. But
Well, aside from all the political stuff that we don't know crap about, like I mentioned the Ghost of Kiev earlier, there was also what they called the Ukrainian Reaper, where he was a soldier that killed over like 20 Russian people by himself, and other soldiers, not just random people.
You know what's interesting?
What?
They have these same stories about World War One, World War Two,
Yes.
all these other wars. They're these legendary, iconic, immortal sort of stories.
But these are really happening. There's pictures of them.
There were pictures there too, and
Yeah.
commentary and stuff. So what it makes me wonder again is how much truth there is to this, or if some of this is propaganda to
Give the people pride and
national.
what's going on and stuff.
For instance, I saw it's going to be interesting when this is all over, how many people on the left are going to have to flip-flop back from their position of nationalism and pride in your country and all that kind of stuff. Because they're all like, fight with Ukrainians, fight for your nation and your freedom, and blah, blah, blah.
But if it's for America,
when it's over, they're
going
to have to be back like, well, nationalists are white supremacists and they're evil, horrible people. And, you know, saying things like, you know, keep America great or America first or those kind of things. That's white supremacist, awful, evil stuff. They're going to have to like flip-flop back on, you know, backtrack on what being a nationalist really means. And
another thing, did you see where Elon Musk was asked to help?
I haven't seen anything about his involvement with Ukraine.
The government came out and asked Elon Musk, basically, will you help us with our communications? Our people need to be able to communicate.
And what did he say?
He's helping them. He sent satellites over there and stuff.
Well, I mean, it is definitely, I feel like, the minority opinion to be skeptical at all right now of our involvement with the Ukraine.
Yeah.
And it's the minority opinion to paint Ukraine as anything other than this innocent victim, this innocent democratic victim of the big bad wolf Russia. And I don't know how much I buy it. So it wouldn't shock me if anybody was like, if every single person, if The Rock came out tomorrow, like, let's support Ukraine, you know, whatever like that, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But it would surprise me more if any of those people did some research and had some genuine concerns about, maybe I'm not being told everything.
Yeah.
You know, that would shock the life out of me, because I just ultimately think most of these people take whatever they're spoon-fed as truth, but from the legacy media and the propaganda, and just accept it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't even have an opinion on Elon Musk doing that. I'm like, hey man, you do you. I'm sure you've got some kind of
it was just noteworthy.
No, I mean, it's interesting. Now I'm going to probably go YouTube Elon Musk helping so-and-so and watch a video on it, because it's interesting. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Not Gospel. Like, comment, subscribe, share this. Let us know what you think, what you want us to talk about. Also, keep an eye out for some special projects going. Big Little Church is coming out. We're trying to provide you as much content as possible. If you're here on this channel because you like live music covers, or because you like the podcast and the socio-political stuff, or if you like the goofy comedy that we sometimes do, whatever reason you're here, we are grateful for your subs. We're grateful for your views and your time. And keep being you and keep being awesome, because that's how God made you.
Aww.